Adequate notice of the September 14th, 2023 Township Committee meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on a bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand-delivering, mailing, faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County Daily Record, Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
Committeeman Cahill is excused this evening. Committeeman Mosca is excused this evening. Committeeman Francioli.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
3 members in attendance.
Okay, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. And please remain standing for our prayer from Deputy Mayor Mike Mahalko. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, please watch over and guide this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding to help make the best decisions for our residents. Please bless our first responders and township volunteers who help keep us all safe. Also, bless our township employees and residents. Lastly, please let us pray for the men and women of our U.S. Armed Forces who stay vigilant over us always. Amen.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence for the 22nd anniversary of September 11th. Thank you very much. Please be seated. So tonight we have a special presentation, and I'm going to ask our chair of EDAC and any rep from EDAC that we have here tonight to please step forward, front and center. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Robert Bruno. He's the chair of Economic Development in Hanover Township. How are you, Bob? Please take the floor.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, the committee. Thanks very much for having us. Again, Bob Bruno, and I'm the chairman of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC for short. And we have the honor and the privilege of recognizing two businesses here in town. One is the Morristown and Erie Railway. President Chuck Jensen, who we'll be bringing up in just a moment. Chuck was kind enough to host our business development meeting, business networking meeting back on June 14th down at the Railway Museum. Many of us who have lived in town our whole lives have spent a minimal amount of time there. And I think many who drive by just see it as where the Polar Express takes place, and that's one of the great events that they have, one of the many events. The Easter Bunny train, but there's also business that's conducted there. You know, they move commercial goods, food, what have you. A lot going on at the Morristown and Erie Railway. But again, we're going to recognize Chuck Jensen, who is the president, for hosting our event, bringing his team in, putting together a special train for the members and the business owners in town to ride on, take a ride, which I had never done, on the train, and get a view from the tracks of some of the businesses in Hanover Township. In addition, we had some food, and Chuck's team was kind enough to help with parking and any other things that we needed assistance with. Additionally, from the Railway Museum, which in my 50-plus years here in Hanover Township I had never set foot in, shame to admit, prior to that evening. But what a great museum. And it doesn't take long to go through it. There is a gift shop as you're exiting, so you can help them generate a little revenue if you do have an opportunity to get down to the museum. And we have Joe Kragoski with us this evening, who's a VP, Vic Ferretti, who's a trustee, and Tom Braviak, lifelong resident of town, who's a member. So I believe, Christy, you have a plaque, and maybe we'll start with Mr. Jensen's plaque, or maybe you can give us both plaques.
Do you guys want to get out?
Maybe we'll stay right up here.
Let's go. Ron, let's go down there.
Let them do a presentation.
Here it is. Chuck, if you would come up, please. Again, on behalf of Hanover Township and the Economic Development Committee, we want to express our thanks and gratitude for hosting the event. It was fantastic, and we really appreciated being a business member here in town, and hope to see you here for many more years to come.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We get a committee here as well. We'll go to them.
There we go.
It's our backdrop with George Washington. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good. Pretty warm.
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Right. Good.
Good point.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Thanks, town. Appreciate you all very much.
Thank you. Members of the Railway Museum, if you would come forward, please, gentlemen.
Let's go over there.
Well, we'll take a short shot, we'll go right to the important picture, all right? This beautiful flag.
That's the way things work out sometimes.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your support.
I think that tent will be available and
He doesn't want to read it, we're just going to read it. Yeah. Okay, good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To start our evening tonight, we have a proclamation of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover proclaiming the month of September 2023 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in Hanover Township. Next, we have a letter of communication from Anton Atme resigning from his position as Slilo 3 with the Hanover Police Department as of September 5th, 2023. And we also received a late letter that did not make the agenda. It's a letter from Patrolman Daniel Aquero, resigning also from the Police Department as of September 30th, 2023. May I please have a motion to accept both letters of resignation?
So moved?
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Next is the approval of the Township Committee meeting minutes for August 10th, 2023. May I please have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes are approved. Next is the public hearing and adoption of ordinance number 29-2023. Proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the August 16th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. At this time, may I please have a motion to convene the public hearing of ordinance 29-2023?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning the ordinance? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Yes, please, thank you.
Hi, I'm R.L. Shack from the Northern New Jersey Libertarian Party. Back in July, I came here and shared our concerns with you, highlighting the pressing need to revisit and repeal your peace and good order codes. The existence of street conduct codes like this one can give police a broad justification to go after anyone they choose, leading to profiling and unjust treatment. This not only erodes public trust, but it also undermines the principles of fairness and equality. I stand here again tonight, 2 months later, really happy about the progress we've witnessed since that meeting. We really appreciate the swift action you have taken to address these preempted street conduct laws. I urge the council to vote yes to repeal these unjust codes. Thank you so much.
Would anybody else like to speak regarding this ordinance? Hearing none, seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Now on adoption, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 29-2023?
So moved?
Second?
On roll call, Committeeman Francioli?
Aye.
Committeeman Halko?
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher?
Aye.
So adopted. Next, we have two ordinances for introduction. I'm going to read the title into the record. First one is ordinance number 30-2023. An ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing ordinance number 5-2022, which authorized the acquisition and installation of artificial synthetic turf at the Brickyard Athletic Field with an additional appropriation of $1,428,425 from the Township's 2023 Capital Improvement Fund and all prior years of the Township's Open Space Trust account for the financing of the projects described herein. The next one is ordinance 31-2023. An ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover amending Chapter 166, Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Hanover to permit specific drive-through uses in certain intersections by amending within the within the B10 zone district and by regulating the number of drive-in uses on a single property. I'd like to state for the record that ordinance 30 and 31 and their notices of introduction will be published in full in the Daily Record in accordance with law. Public hearing will be scheduled for October 12, 2023 at 8 p.m. If any member of the public would like to speak regarding those ordinances, they may do so at that time. Now, may I have a motion on introduction?
Can I say something just real quick? I'd like to say it just because Mr. Bruno is here, and it really, that first ordinance, 30-2023, the appropriation for the balance of the money for the turf field, it's good he's here tonight because this is his baby. We're finally seeing it, Bob. We're finally getting it.
I didn't think I'd live that long.
I didn't think I would. I was hoping maybe even my great-grandkids would get on the field. But we're finally got our act together. There's been a lot of delays. There's been, the DEP even stepped in. That delayed us. We pushed back. We're able to make adjustments. That saved us a few $100,000 by pushing back a little bit and getting that straightened out. But again, thank you, Bob. Thanks for, for really spearheading this and, getting this ball rolling. So I would like to introduce.
I just want to make one comment too to Bob. Bob, I served on you when you first brought up the idea of taking a certain amount of money every year and putting it away and one day getting a turf field. And I think the first year was $75,000. And I sat across from you and I said, this kid's never going to get there. He's never going to get there. And you pushed and pushed and pushed, and then Mike Mahalko came in and grabbed what you started and ran with it. So between both of you guys, I want to say thank you very much. And on behalf of all the kids that are going to enjoy this for years, thank you very, very much. And Mike, great work to you too. Bob, great work, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you, and yes, it's all for the kids, so we're really looking forward to getting the ball rolling.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's going to be a nice project. Really looking
Yep.
forward. It's going to, just in case you're not aware, it's going to be a full-size multi-purpose field, which was, one of the things that, as it stands now, football is a narrow field. Soccer, which is what we were pushing for, is one of the biggest fields. So we were making sure that we had enough space. It did cost us a little bit more, but, we don't want to penny-wise, dollar foolish. So we're making sure this, and again, it will be used for all different sports, football, soccer, boys and girls, lacrosse, boys and girls lacrosse, and then we can line it for future sports also if we feel the need. It's really going to be a nice amenity to our town.
So do you want to introduce this, Mike?
Please.
I know this isn't the appropriate time, since we're introducing the ordinance, to really debate it. I mean, I don't think we're going to debate it. But since we're all making comments, let me make a comment. It sounds like an enormous amount of money. It is an enormous amount of money, but I'll tell you, typical of Hanover Township, didn't happen overnight, as the mayor was saying. It began with $75,000. But I always have preached from that chair, and all our committeemen have preached the same thing. We stayed on what's called cigar box budgeting. You don't have the money, you don't buy it. We have the money, but it took years to acquire the money. So I don't want the public to think that we're just going to write a check for $1,900,000 and something odd thousand bucks, and it's going to come out of this year's appropriations. So it's been saved for in our piggy bank and prepared for, so we're ready to go. Thanks.
And more importantly, we didn't bond for it. That's really what you're saying.
Of course,
It's not a bond, we're not paying that interest. And these days, the interest we know has gone through the roof, or gone up a lot. So, yeah, this is, yeah. So I would like to introduce that.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, Committeeman Francioli.
Aye.
Committeeman Mahalko?
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher?
Aye.
So introduced. Next order of business is the approval of resolutions as a consent agenda. Resolutions numbers 165-2023 through 179-2023. Does any member of the committee have any questions regarding any of these resolutions?
Motion approved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions are so approved. And, let's see, last on the agenda. Oh, payment of bills. We have payment of bills in the amount of $2,598,726.95. May I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make the motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. And lastly, we have raffle applications for approval. Raffle application 3409, 3410, 3411, and 3412. May I have a motion to approve the raffle applications?
Make the motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Mayor Gallagher and the members of the committee, that clears the agenda, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen. Great job.
Welcome.
Now I'd like to have a motion to open up to the public.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone from the public like to be heard on anything? And Bob, this is a good opportunity for you to take a victory lap.
Ladies first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to come up? Okay.
Please.
Well, I hope you're working on pickleball courts. Just want to see.
We are.
Okay, I heard that.
Yeah, Upper Mallet Park is moving along.
Okay, great. Okay, Fern Walken, Hanover Township. First, I wanted to congratulate everyone on a wonderful Hanover Township Day. It was a wonderful day, and it's precisely this kind of event that brings us all together. I think you all know that I have a high level of respect for the Hanover Township Committee as a whole. In the past, I've requested things such as gun violence awareness proclamations and pride proclamations, which you have graciously given. And so I wanted to come today to express the following concern. This committee is charged with making sure that the reputation of this town remains sound, that anyone, and I mean anyone, who would want to move here because it's such a great place to live. So I'm asking two things tonight. One, I'm asking that the Township Committee remain neutral on what is going on at the Board of Education and the Board of Ed race. I know that you have a right to stand up and express your opinion as an individual, but I'm just asking you to consider how that looks when you are a Township Committee member. At least add a disclaimer that you are not speaking for the Township Committee. Secondly, I do not know how money is allocated and dispensed to the Board of Education from the Township's budget. What I do know is that the Board of Ed is spending an inordinate amount of money on lawsuits, $20,000 monthly and climbing. And the Township Committee should not increase their funding or raise our taxes because of this, no matter what the repercussions. It is up to you to maintain the integrity of this town and its reputation. So I'm asking you to please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fern. The only comment I would like to make, and I can make it quickly, is we do work very hard to respect the separation. And I learned from Ron and some of the gentlemen that were here and ladies that were here before me that if you notice, we really stay out of fire commissioner races. We stay out of the high school regional. Of course, we all have opinions. We have strong opinions, and hopefully we get to you trust our value and our dignity to make decisions on your behalf. But we work very hard not to get in there and get involved in the campaigning. So I think that not only are the budgets very big, and we have to be very careful and respectful of one another in that respect, but we do work very hard to stay out of those other races. So I just wanted to acknowledge that because we do work very hard.
I would like to make a comment.
Please,
because it is addressed towards me, and I specifically did not bring up my association with the committee when I stood up. I had heard other people stand and say, I'm here, I'm this, but I'm not speaking on that. I didn't even want to bring attention to that, and I felt that was the best way to do. If you feel other, I will do it the other way.
And I respect that, and I kind of thought that, but everybody knows who you are, at least in town, in our town.
Correct.
So when you stand up...
Okay, if you think that's a better way to handle, I absolutely would. Like I said, I didn't want to bring attention to the committee.
I respect that.
But I do want my personal opinions heard and out there. And I think, for myself, it's important that people know where I stand. As I want to know where you stand. And there should be open conversation and talking and dialogue going back and forth. But yeah, again, I wasn't exactly sure how to handle that, but I heard other people going forward, and because then it does put it in their mind, oh wait, he's there because of that. So I opted not to, but in the future, if you think it's best, I will say, I am Michael Mahalka, I am part of the committee, but I am speaking as a resident. Okay.
And you want to hear interesting line I learned when I was on the Board of Ed, and Jen was in the schools when I was on the Board of Ed, is when you're on the Board of Ed, you have to go to classes. And the hardest thing for me to understand, because I had children in the school, is you don't relinquish your rights as a parent when you're on the Board of Ed, but you have to handle things slightly different. And it's always a learning curve. And especially now, everything's so emotional. And you know, not that Mike needs me to speak for him, but he's a dad. He puts everything he has into being a dad. So sometimes you get caught up a little bit, and you make yourself, you know, your position known, but we're all learning every day. We really are.
Yeah. And honestly, I felt that was the best way for me to distance it, not to bring attention to it. And to answer your question, we have nothing to do with the education budget. We don't raise the funds. We don't. They submit their budget. We just dispense the money.
That's an important point. We're going to have the room filled with Board of Education.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with their budget.
We don't control their budget. We collect their money. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I know we don't usually do that.
Fred, if you can go back up to the podium just for your one question for the recording.
No, I'm just curious, because please educate me, because I have no, that's why I said I don't know how.
They have their own district, they adopt their own budget. When they do, they submit it to the state. Once it's approved, we're the only taxing agency in the town. We're responsible for collecting whatever their budget they adopted is, and then turning it over to them.
Very interesting.
They have their budget whatsoever. They're their own individual entity.
So they submit to the state, not to you?
Directly to the state, and then the state tells us, Board of Education's budget is $10 million. You have to collect that for them and turn it over to them.
Got it.
That's the only involvement we have in it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's enlightening. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Fern. But otherwise, we'd have the room filled next week.
Mayor, can Silvio just explain the percentage?
That's what I was going to ask you. Silvio, if you could just take a minute and explain the percentage.
To show the difference.
Approximately, your budget dollar, the township is about 27 cents of your dollar. The bulk of it, after you take the county out, is the school district. They're in the top half, for sure, but one makes 30-something percent, the others in the high teens. So we're only 27% of the dollar that we made with that. Everything else we turn over to either the 2 school districts, the 2 fire districts, or the county.
Okay, I think we have the man of the hour standing up here.
And another, yeah, couldn't
State
help.
your name and address, please.
Yes, Bob Bruno, 53 Countrywood in Cedar Knolls, and I was here as a member of EDAC to recognize the gentlemen that were here, of course, from the Morrison Essex train and then the Railway Museum. However, when I saw this on the agenda, that the ordinance was being passed, I felt I had to stick around for the public portion. I want to commend the mayor, the entire township committee, engineering, really Mr. Esposito, in the finance department. It took a lot to get that turf field approved. We're one of the very, very few towns in Morris County who did not yet have a turf field. As Mr. Nahalko indicated, we've been talking about it for quite a while, and we started the savings plan many, many years ago, probably close to 10 years ago. But the good news is we didn't borrow any money. The township didn't borrow any money, and it's being completely funded by money that's in the bank. So we don't have to, now that interest rates are going up, it would have been a whole lot more costly to borrow the money to do so. So really thank everybody. Anxious to see the shovels in the ground. Hopefully we'll get good weather this winter, and they can, work on it over the winter, and it'll be ready to go by next summer. So that was the first thing, and again, thanks to everybody who was involved for getting that done. Put my EDAC hat back on for just a second, and I wanted to comment on the Hanover Township trails, which I think are in phase 4 of 6 phases. It was another initiative that was started when I was on the committee 7, 8, 9 years ago. We got some money from the county. As I recall, the CEO of Bayer, of course, Bayer Healthcare, right on Whippany Road, the CEO was moving over from Germany, I believe, and said, hey, I'm going to be living in Morristown. I want to ride my bike to work. But if I'm going to ride through Hanover Township, I'm going to get killed. Why don't you guys have paths? What's going on? And when we started to consider it, we saw a lot of other towns in Morris County did have those paths and trails for hiking and walking baby carriages and biking. We were a little bit behind. So, that got started, and we got some money from the county and wherever we needed to get it from open space and got the ball rolling, but it's been going on ever since. And I know that that you're on either phase 5 or phase 6, and I really want to see it completed, but most importantly, I just want to be clear that as chairman of Economic Development Advisory Committee, we're in support of the trail system 100%. And if there's anything that we can do, whether monetarily going to the business owners in town to get donations, any other support that we can offer, we're happy to do so, because it's another great initiative. And it's something that prospective residents coming into town look at and see a trail system like that. It just adds to the value, it adds to the spirit of the community. So again, EDAC is behind it 100%. If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. It's good to hear the support. Unfortunately, a lot of times we only hear the negative. We do, to answer your question, we've got 4 phases going around the pool. And we're working on phase 3 and 4. They're getting ready to go out to bid any day now.
A couple weeks, 2 weeks.
A couple weeks. So that's around the pool. But I would like to, we were trying to get that completed and then dust off the major portion of the town, the other paths that are going. So that would be the next ones these get going. We did run into some hurdles this spring, and I think we finally cleared them, and we should be moving ahead with those after this is done. After 3 and 4 are done. So there's actually four phases around B Meadow Pool. So, yeah.
And Bob, we all learned a few less valuable lessons too with this last section of the path, because we had some neighbors that were concerned about public safety. We had some neighbors concerned about ADA compliance. So what we really did was we worked really hard with the county to try to make it the best we can without losing the grant. We put a lot of time into it. Got a little bit emotional, but we believe that we came out with a very good compromise. But the one thing I went on record saying, and I will go on record saying, is currently the area by the pool that Mike referred to, people ride motorcycles, they ride quads, sometimes they'll even have a pickup truck back there. But if the town is clearing the area of trees, pruning trees to make it safer, and inviting the public to recreate in a wooded area, we can't ensure 100% safety, but we can assure we can make it much safer, and that would be with public safety. That would be like a path not going through a swamp. If there's a path in the middle, it would mean less likely to have a big vehicle like a pickup truck back there. So we truly believe it'll make it safer and continue what you guys also began on EDAC, to have the entire township connect with a PAD system. So thanks again for being involved in that too, Bob. And Mike, great work again. Very good work. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Me.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. It's been a long time since I've been here. Hi, Ron. My neighbor. Jennifer Atkins, 16 Slope Drive, Cedar Knolls. This is not a comment on changing the end of Forest Way to a two-way, so please do not take it that way. That's over and done. But I do have two suggestions. One, I work in Morristown, come down Hanover Avenue from my office, typically would do the American Road route through Trailwoods to get home. Now, of course, I go down and I make the left on Horse Hill, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait at the bottom of the hill. So today, knowing that I was going to be joining Fern here this evening, I decided to time it. Now, I didn't have a little second hand, so I had to do the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi thing, but I got up to about 10 Mississippi, a 10-second light. I've waited there while there's been 20, 25 cars piled back, and you can count them because you're on a hill. I don't know if, as the road was closed or turned to the one-way, if there was any consideration given to the increase of traffic at the intersection of Horse Hill and Ridgedale, but I think the light should be longer. I'm sure the neighbors aren't happy with all those cars piled up at rush hour coming down the hill. And again, I don't even know if Ridgedale is a county road, Horse Hill's a county road, or if they're under your jurisdiction, but I would appreciate it if that could be looked at, even if it could become a 15-second light, because I know I'm afraid when I'm the first one to zip right out when the light turns green, because there's been so many accidents. You really want to look left, look right, and make sure that those folks are stopping as well. And that takes up a precious amount of 10 Mississippis. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I live on the corner of Slope and McNabb. I've lived in town now 33 years. I've had every vehicle known to mankind, from a small sports car up to a Suburban. I have gotten stuck on Manger and McNabb in inclement weather when there's a little bit of ice or snow, or a lot of ice or snow, or even freshly, plowed roads. The DPW does a great job, but they can't salt it or sand it hard enough to get us from not going backwards. So my route was always to just see what was happening as the cars were falling backwards on McNabb, go straight up, make the right on Hanover, go down to American, make the right and come through Trailwood. For some reason, those hills aren't quite as bad. So last year wasn't a bad winter. I was going to come say this last year, but I didn't. This year they're predicting a bad winter. I'm wondering if, when we know we're having inclement weather or the snow or the ice have started, if there is a way, whether with a police officer or some sort of a mechanism, maybe one of those huge signs, that the end of Forest could be considered a two-way. There's plenty of room in that cul-de-sac as someone comes down to that stop sign, which I do every day, and you stop and you look. Those cars could continue to come, but I think that other cars could safely come up in the inclement weather, and that would give us a fighting chance to at least get home instead of having to try to manage the mountains of Manger and McNabb. So if that's something that you could consider or look into, I would greatly appreciate it. And I thank you for your time. And I echo Fern, Hanover Township Day was wonderful. It was really great. The weather gods were not with us necessarily, but got the first part of it in, and it was truly spectacular, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Jen, I just want to say that you're officially on record. Jerry's our engineer, and right here. And I'm going to ask Jerry to discuss with his department the everything you just talked about. So it's on record. I will follow up with Jerry, and then Jerry will also talk to Brian Ferran and discuss when it does get inclement out there, because we've all plowed snow and plowed a lot, and we know there's ways to pre-treat roads, but sometimes when it comes down quick and it freezes quick, it's a battle zone out there. So we will share that with Brian, and Jerry, if you could take that tomorrow morning, make a few calls, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Ace.
Anybody else?
Motion to close.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, other business. Mike, want to take the floor?
Yeah, sure. Just, again, I heard, unfortunately, I couldn't make Hanover Township Day this year. I had to bring my daughter back to college, so apparently I'll miss it for the next couple of years, unfortunately. But I heard Hanover Township Day was great, and I'm glad to hear it. They really put a lot of time and effort. Denise and Ms. Brennan and Recreation and all of her crew, Brian Ferran and his team, they put a lot of time and effort, and we're always trying to improve it. So if there's any ever suggestions, we're always got our ears open. We always try to improve it. We always try to, again, it's a, what do we say? Empty pockets day, no money. So we always it's a gratis event. So again, I'm glad it went very well. We did open a time capsule that was buried 30 years ago, but unfortunately, they didn't seal it well, so I think it was kind of like Al Capone's safe. They opened it up, kind of a little wishy-washy. We're going to talk at the committee what we're going to do, maybe rebury some of that stuff and maybe bury something again for the next 30 years. Maybe we'll do that next Hanover Township Days. We'll rebury a time capsule. So again, thank you all. Everybody did a great job. Just want to throw out a couple things. I'll keep it short and sweet tonight. B-Meadow Pool, we had a couple rain days over the summer, so we did keep it open again last weekend for a day or two, and then again for this weekend. So we are going to keep it open for one more day, one more weekend this weekend. So it's supposed to be a nice weekend, a little cooler, but it's going to be nice, so one more time. If you belong to the pool, you're welcome to come out. And if you don't belong to the pool, why not? Couple dates I want you to put in your books. Masquerade at Malapartis Park. Yes, we're talking about Halloween. God bless you.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Masquerade at Malapartis Park is going to be October 28th. You can mark that down. There'll also be a volunteer recognition dinner, which we'll talk about later. That's going to be November 29th, and that's for the volunteers in town, for all the different committees and groups. We have a volunteer recognition dinner. That's coming up also. That's it for me tonight.
Thanks, Mike, and great job on Hanover Township Day to you and your whole crew. It was really something.
They do the work.
Ron? Again, as Mike was brief, I'm going to try and be brief myself. Just a couple of points. Number one, we are finally going to cut the ribbon on the group home at the, what I'll call the Our Lady of Mercy property. That's been under construction. It's done. And they will have a ribbon cutting on the 21st of September at 11 o'clock at that site, so we're very pleased about that. This will be an Ark Morris group home, an additional group home from the Ark Morris group. That will give them 4 group homes in Hanover Township. They're looking at potentially a 5th area for a group home, so I know all of us on the committee are very excited about that for them. They do such good work. But in total, I think what I'm really proud of is that in the state of New Jersey, there probably is just over 100 group home facilities in the entire state. And when you look at all of the care facilities that Hanover Township has, both under ARC Morris and under private control, we have 13 of that. So that's a pretty good result. We deserve a round of applause on that one. So we're very happy about that going in. I hope our community is going to bear with us with the Morristown Airport. We've had some significant issues over there with repairs and improvements. Morristown Airport, as probably many might know or maybe not know, it was built during the war years of just before 1936 or 7. And there are some drainage culverts and drainage ditches that go under the main runways, main runway 523. But that culvert was being worked on. It's been taking weeks to get done, and because of that, unfortunately, they had to divert aircraft further west toward us. So some of our neighbors on Park Avenue and Whippany Road have been an issue with them with overflights. It will cease very shortly. I think we got our final notice from them that they're complete. Yeah, I think they're finally complete. So they're all done. So we're very happy. I'm another note from an economic development situation. When we lost Bell in our town, and they moved out, and then Lucent came in and they moved out, they were our largest taxpayers. During the time after they moved out, your largest taxpayer was Morristown Airport. So we're proud of them. They're a corporate airport. They're not a public airport as such, so we're good. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thanks, Ron. Good work. Joe, I'm going to be quick, but I want to say that we've been very, very busy. I think yesterday, Joe Wood, we have 4 meetings yesterday alone. So we've been busy, but the only thing I want to discuss tonight, above and beyond our normal detail, is October 3rd, right in this room, the New Jersey Coalition for Education and Positive Choices, which is now called addiction and available services, mental health and wellness, understanding our older family members. He's getting together for a symposium. We have buy-in from the Mental Health Association, the Sheriff's Department, 6 municipalities, school districts. What we're going to cover that night is an incredible amount of information, but it's not going to be your stereotypical assembly. What it's going to do is basically be an infomercial for the amount of help that's out there, how to get in touch with the people that help you, and the different methods of help. And one of the nicest, most innovative things I've seen in being involved with groups like this is the Mental Health Association understands and embraces young people and their stress and coming out of the COVID lockdowns. In that now you can text them 24 hours a day if you have a problem. You no longer call up and get nervous because you're talking to somebody on the phone you don't know. You text and somebody texts you back. If we had any idea how many services are out there, your head would spin. It's unbelievable. So what we're doing is working very, very hard to let people know what's out there. We did Florham Park 2 months ago. We're doing Hanover October 3rd. We're doing East Hanover just before Christmas because holidays are a very, very lonely, depressing time, although they're beautiful for many. We already booked Morris Plains, Chatham, and Parsippany. Every 2 to 3 months we're going to do a symposium. But it's here, and if you can make it great, you probably should reserve a seat because it's limited, but we're going to record the entire symposium and we're going to make it available in a lot of different places. So it's going to be a great opportunity, and we'll have plenty of information prior to that we'll release. Other than that, guys, that's all I got, really. Good. So, motion adjourned?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
We're going to continue. What's on the agenda?
Yeah.